Hey everybody, so in this video I'm going to show you some destructive editing techniques that enhance or retouch digital image files. I will talk about histograms in class during a presentation, but just to show you where that is and a tool that you can use and that is widely used especially in digital photography, in other digital workflow spaces. If you go up to Window, select the histogram. This is the histogram panel that I will refer to in that lecture. So just so you know that it's there. I'm also using this guide that you have a hard copy of and is also available online. I have not updated this yet for fall 2018, but roughly the same tool sets will be used, you'll be using that is on this sheet. So it's always good to start out with some broader strokes rather than launching right into fine-tuning the image. And the first set of tools that I mention that are destructive are the auto tone, auto contrast, and auto color. These are not always the best route. They're not always the best option, but in using and selecting each one, you can kind of see what Photoshop thinks brings out the best in your image file. So that's with the auto tone. Let's see what happens when I do auto contrast. What comes up? Yeah, it's kind of sharpened things up a little bit, I think. And auto color. All right, so it looks like things got a little bluer in that one. I have my history panel open, which history is really important. Again, if that's not open, you can go Window, History. And I don't like what the auto color did. I would rather fine tune that myself with adjustment layers. I am pretty happy with that auto tone and auto contrast, so I will leave that there for now. The next thing that I'm going to look for are some kind of distractions, imperfections in the image that maybe I want to fine tune or retouch or adjust. And I'm going to show you, without me getting really nitpicky and going through my entire image, which would be a very long tutorial. I'm just going to show you what these do and point them out. So you have your, if you go down to this, almost looks like a lollipop. This is your dodge tool, and if you click on it, you can see you have dodge, burn, and sponge. So dodge tool is going to lighten part of an image. So let's say I wanted to, lighten some of this greenery. I would just click and drag. I can increase the size of my brush by using the right bracket or decrease using the left bracket. And the more that I go over this one section, like by clicking and reusing the brush, the lighter it's going to get. You can see that. And this is a tool that you can really get carried away with. You don't want to get carried away with this. This already looks really unnatural, especially if I keep pushing it. And I think sometimes it's helpful too to see like what not to do. We're just going for subtlety. This is way too much. So let me go back to where I was on my history panel. I'll go back to auto contrast because I don't like what that dodge tool did. Okay, and then if I go to my burn tool, this is going to darken part of an image. So let's say I want to darken this snowball shack back here. Let me increase my brush size a little bit. And let's say that, I just want to create a little more contrast, where this is. Okay, so that kind of pushes it back into space a little bit, doesn't look overly edited, and, is fine. But that's another one that you can easily go overboard with darkening part of your image. And then the sponge tool is going to adjust the saturation of part of your image. So let me try that. the sponge tool on this part. So right now it's desaturating this sign, which I definitely don't want. And you can see up here on your control panel what it's doing. So let me hit saturate, and this is going to increase the saturation. You can see how it's becoming a little more vibrant, a little more full of color and life. So you can use that, you know, in parts of your image that you want to draw attention to or highlight. Okay. So dodge, burn, and sponge, you see those. Another set of tools that you can use the clone stamp tool, which is something that you can play around with on your own. I don't particularly see a spot that I would use it with in this image, but let's just try something out. So let me option select this snowball stand. So with the clone stamp tool, you have to use the option key to select an area to sample, and you can see that it's kind of hovering within the circle. So let's say I wanted to like add another snowball stand over here. You know, I could do that. And, you know, in this instance, I don't want to do that, but I'm just showing you what it does and how it works. Okay, so you could create a totally new, you know, landscape using that tool if you wanted to. And you can see the kind of cursor floating, this like cross to the left of your screen that's sampling what I'm filling in with my brush. Okay, so that's the clone stamp, and I'll go back and back to my sponge tool stage because I don't need this. I'm not trying to create a new landscape. Okay, so we'll go back there. You also have the spot healing brush, and patch tool, which are destructive techniques that you can use. Spot healing brush, super quick tool to use. Again, you're using your bracket keys to adjust the brush size. You've got some options up here too, and you know, let's say that I want to get rid of this manhole cover. This brush is going to sample the pixels around wherever you're clicking, and again is another one that you can kind of get carried away with in terms of becoming really obsessive about like every single imperfection or what you feel is an imperfection in your image. So now I'm moving on to this manhole cover, and the more that I click, the more covered up it gets. So you can really go through and you can erase trash, you could erase leaves, you could erase anything that, you know, I could go through and get rid of all these spots in the road. There's the healing brush, which again you have to option click. So let me go, I'll option click right here in the road, and again you're using your brush and it kind of fills in samples from where you clicked, and so I could get rid of that line in the road that was in that bottom corner. I don't want to do that. Let me go back to my spot where I was in time. Let me show you the patch tool. Patch tool's pretty cool, but is one that you know, you want to get more precise with it because otherwise it might look really unnatural. So you click and you draw a shape like so, and then you can kind of move the patch around to fill in whatever you're trying to cover up. So I just kind of finessed the selection. I'll move my mouse around, and now if I hit Command D, which is deselect, it's like that stripe was never there. Pretty cool. So you want to play around with these destructive editing techniques. Again, I could like go through and try to get rid of some of these wires if I wanted to, maybe the more like angular ones. This one up here, but this could also just be cropped out. So you're learning what decisions to make depending on what your overall goals are. Our goals are, these subtle enhancements. I don't want to look at your photos and see like, oh, that's where they use the dodge tool. I can see where they use the burn tool. I'm looking for subtle enhancements. I'm looking for things to be cleaned up without looking overly doctored. Okay. And again, the more examples that you see in class the better will help you. I'm going to save my changes by hitting